Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be telling you about 4 easy steps that you need to take as a pre-med student to get into med school. Now, as a part of the application committee in my med school, I had the opportunity to interview hundreds of students and go over hundreds of applications. So I want to tell you all the secrets, all the ins and outs of the application process to help you get into med school. Before I dive into step number 1, I just want to let you know it's really important as an undergrad and as a pre-med to get the right information. I remember being an undergrad and I was listening to everyone out there. Everyone was telling me something different, so I was prioritizing things differently. That's why I want to come up with this video. That way I can save you some time, some years, some experience that you don't have to go through to kind of learn the hard way, right? And I want to give you some shortcuts to help you prioritize your list. That way you have a solid application when you're applying for med school. So the first step is, of course, very obvious, to get good grades. And not just get good grades, but to master your classes, right? It's enough to get an A on paper, but once you master your classes, that opens up a whole new set of doors. The first thing is you're gonna get different opportunities by acing your classes. You're gonna get to know your professors, which are gonna lead to better letters of recommendation. You're gonna get to know your TAs, which are gonna lead to research opportunities. But most important is you're gonna master the material, making it that much easier for you to study for your MCAT. Let me give you an example. I struggled with OChem as an undergrad. It wasn't my favorite subject, let's just put it that way. So I found myself when I was studying for my MCAT to be studying for longer periods of times when it came to OChem and some of the other classes I didn't like. You know, I found myself studying for about 8 hours for a certain subject. They would study 2 to 3 hours. And for them, it's just reviewing the material because they already mastered that material. They aced their classes. For them, it's just a quick review. For me, I had to teach myself new concepts in that material I didn't initially grasp. That's why it's so important for you not to just only focus on that A, but to master the material. And that leads me to step number 2. Guess what that is? The MCAT, the lovely test that everyone's looking forward to take. I couldn't stand that test. I was like, why am I taking this test? This test isn't gonna help me learn the biology and the pathophysiology I'm gonna need later as a doctor. But what I found out during med school is the MCAT is kind of a test to see how well you manage your time, how efficient you are, and how good your study habits are. Because studying for the MCAT takes time. It takes some people who have reviewed extensively, who have mastered the classes, got their A's. Sometimes it takes them 4 to 8 weeks. And for other people, it might take longer, and that's okay. But throughout that time period, you're studying, you have a set plan, and that's what medicine is like. You're gonna be crunched on time. You're gonna have to be really efficient with your studying. So that's what I found out, is the MCAT is a test that's almost trying to perceive how well you're gonna handle med school, how well you're gonna handle all that information coming at you. So study for your MCAT, but do yourself a favor and master your classes. Quick little pro tip is when you sign up for your MCAT, make sure you stick to the date unless it's absolutely necessary for you to postpone your test, because it creates a sense of urgency that you have to commit to when you do sign up for the exam. And when you sign up for the exam, the weeks prior to your exam, start to mimic the test taking conditions. What do I mean by that? Go to a silent study area and go take your exam in a small cubicle in a silent area where it kind of mimics the testing center that you're going to be at. And I highly recommend driving to the testing center at the time it's scheduled, at the time your MCAT is scheduled. That way you know how the traffic is like. That way you can plan out your meals. That way you can plan out, what food you're gonna take and how many bathroom breaks. Don't drink too much water so you're not running in and out of the exam. So mimic the test taking conditions, and it's gonna make actual exam a lot easier when you take. So that's step number 2. For step number 3, after you've prioritized your grades and your MCAT, now it's time to prioritize some things like research and letters of recommendation. Now, when it comes to research, it doesn't really matter what you do exactly. The whole point is you want to show the medical school interview committee that you have been committed to a project for an extended period of time, and you have created something with that project. You've been innovative with that project. You've been disciplined enough to follow through the whole time. And that's what med school is, right? It's a 4-year program. So they want to see that you've been committed to something for a long time and you've produced something. And by producing something, I'm referring to publications. If you're able to publish something as an undergraduate student, it's gonna buff up that application for you, all right? So research is important, but first prioritize your grades and your MCAT. And I say that because you're gonna hear a lot of pre-med students say, oh, I'm involved in this research, I'm involved in this extracurricular activity. And then you ask them, oh, well, how are your grades in your MCAT? Well, I'm gonna postpone my MCAT. Well, you gotta prioritize number 1 and 2, and then work on number 3. Step number 4 is extracurricular activities. So shadowing, being involved in a free medical clinic, or whatever it is. Try to get yourself involved, not only to buff up your application, but also to see how it is to be involved in medicine. Is this something you really want to commit the rest of your life to? Is this something that you see yourself doing? And so that's why it's step number 4, because the first 2 are your priorities. I mean, every school has a threshold of science GPA you got to meet and an MCAT that you got to meet. And then your research is going to supplement it. And then your extracurriculars are going to help differentiate you a little bit from your peers. So as a pre-med student, I had the opportunity to volunteer at a free medical clinic that also doubled as a free local food bank. And we would give patients who come in for medical care free produce, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, and they would go home with that. And I noticed the intricate connection between food health and their own health and the comorbidities and how the food they ate affected their comorbidities. So that provided me with the impetus to pursue more research on food, fitness, and the connection with the body. And this is something that I talked about during my med school application, and it helped differentiate me from my peers because a lot of other people didn't do this. And it's not saying what they did was wrong, but this was something unique for me. So you got to find something that's unique for you and try to start a project. So those are the 4 steps you should take to help you get into med school. During this process, make sure you stay grateful and be resourceful, because there's going to be tutoring centers, there's going to be academic advisors, and those people have a ton of information. So make sure you use the resources at your community college, at your graduate program, at your undergraduate program, and see how they can benefit you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.